Yo, what's good everybody, it's me, ThatOnlyP here, back with another video, another part, for part 10 of What If Naruto was the Sage of Six Paths. If you guys want to see more of this series to come, as well as any of my other series, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below what you thought of the video, and subscribe to the channel for more. We are almost at 9,000 subscribers, and to everyone who's already subscribed, thank you very much. And yeah, let's just get into this part for What If Naruto was the Sage of Six Paths. Since it has been a while since the last part, I will get into a small recap on what happened back during part 9. Naruto's memories of being the Hagoromo have finally returned now that his reincarnation has been completed, meaning that Naruto and Hagoromo have basically merged into the singular person. So with Hagoromo's wisdom and judgment, knowing how the Indra and Ashura reincarnations work, and basically everything else that Hagoromo has knowledge of, that Naruto/Hagoromo would come up with this plan in order for Sasuke to grow stronger, as well as let Rock Lee, the incarnation of Ashura, grow on his own time as well. This is all to resolve the fight that has been between the two brothers ever since, well, the actual first reincarnations of Ashura and Indra, with Hagoromo wishing to end this cycle as much as possible and the entire purpose of his reincarnation to begin with. With Hagoromo, I'll be calling Naruto from this point on, Naruto would have gone off with Jiraiya, and instead of focusing on training, since he actually now has the full control of the Nine Tails now that Kurama knows that Hagoromo's really there, Kurama and Hagoromo's powers have basically merged as well, giving Hagoromo complete control over the Nine Tails chakra, which basically makes this version of Naruto already at the end of Shippuden towards the war arc in power levels of scaling. So Naruto now, after the 3 years, has access to KCM, KCM2, as well as Sage of Six Paths mode, which he can activate by using his own chakra since Hagoromo has his own power now. Anyway, Naruto would have gone with Jiraiya with a different intent this time. With Naruto basically being the strongest person in the world right now, Naruto would be investigating the Akatsuki along with Jiraiya, so this 3 years mission of being a training mission would be sort of a lie, as Naruto would basically just be going along with Jiraiya to assist with espionage, as well as acting as a spy for the Leaf Village to use Jiraiya's actual connections to find more info about the Akatsuki. Hagoromo, of course, having knowledge of Kaguya, his own mother, as well as the actual Ten Tails, would be rather worried about the Akatsuki going after the tailed beasts, as they have knowledge now of what they're actually trying to accomplish much earlier than they would have had in the original. This would cause Naruto and Jiraiya to have gained some incredible information that they would not have had in the original timeline. Anyway, back to what is happening now. Naruto has finally returned, and he now dons robes of white, which is similar to his outfit that he wears as the Sage of Six Paths, as he wears this right robe with the 6 tomoe going all around his neck while wearing that necklace. And underneath this white robe, basically he looks like he does during the pain fight with his Sage mode cloak, but instead of having it be red, it's white, and it has tomoe going around, and he's wearing that necklace. So that's what's going on. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Naruto has now returned back to the Leaf Village, and he and Jiraiya have some very interesting news for Tsunade. With now Rock Lee actually being back at the village the entire 3 years, having trained with Guy Sensei, he's learned a lot, as well as having trained under several other teachers in order to learn different jutsu, since Rock Lee in this timeline can actually use chakra to use ninjutsu, especially, well, mostly, entirely due to his abilities due to being the Ashura reincarnation. Rock Lee's taijutsu would now be up to par with the original Rock Lee from the previous timeline, as Rock Lee now has access to most of the gates, and because of his potential as being the Ashura reincarnation, he can already use 6 of the gates from only 3 years of training, which to Guy was incredible in speed and his growth. Guy would be predicting that Lee would be able to use all 8 of the gates rather soon, which would be incredible to him as it took him many more years to master. But I digress. Getting back to the topic at hand, we see Naruto walking through the open gates as he greets the two guards as well with Jiraiya walking behind him. Naruto wouldn't be so childish in the original, and he wouldn't climb up to the water tower to look at the Leaf Village, as he would simply use his Rinnegan to look throughout the entire village, amazed at what's changed in the past 3 years. As Naruto opened his eyes, his purple Rinnegan would shine, as he would then see Sakura and would wave to her. Sakura would not be on Team 7, as I've already stated in multiple of the previous parts. However, Naruto still had liked Sakura before he had actually, become Hagoromo's complete incarnation. So he would still wave to her anyway, and Sakura waved back, as her relationship with Naruto in this timeline is more neutral than it would have been in the original, especially since she's definitely more of a side character, with Lee, Sasuke, and Naruto being the main focus. Naruto, now having returned to the village, would ask where Lee is, as he wants to see and measure up his growth to see where Lee is compared to himself, as well as, what he would think Sasuke would be around this time. Lee, having heard that Naruto has returned, would stop his morning training to go and visit Naruto immediately, greeting Naruto and asking how he's been doing over the last 3 years. Naruto would smile as he sees Lee and would scan him using the Rinnegans, noticing some increase in both physical strength as well as his chakra. "Lee, I'm impressed," Naruto would say, as he then asks Lee if he wants to fight him. Lee would be quite shocked by this provocation, as Naruto has never asked Lee to do anything like that really before, as Lee had never been asked by Naruto to spar with him. Lee would be delighted to, though, as he says that he will try his best to fight Naruto and win. Naruto would nod as he tells him that they can do it later. First, he needs to report to Tsunade, as he would pat Lee on the shoulder and begin to walk away. Before he walks away, though, he would ask Lee something, as he uses a small genjutsu on him, reading through his memories to look if Sasuke's back to the village as well. This is due to the promise that Sasuke had said that he would return to the Leaf Village within 3 years. His 3 years are up, and if Naruto had returned before him, that meant that Naruto was going to be going after him himself. Naruto would deactivate the genjutsu immediately, realizing that Sasuke has not returned yet as he had promised to, which would cause Naruto to become a bit angry. "Damn it, Sasuke. I guess I'll have to track you down myself. But this definitely comes first before you," Naruto would think, as he would then look up to Jiraiya, telling him that they need to report to Tsunade immediately. Naruto would walk into the Hokage's office, with Tsunade being shocked at seeing both Jiraiya and Naruto after such a long time, as well as how big Naruto's gotten. Naruto would slam his hands on Tsunade's desk as his hair falls over his eyes. He would then look up, his blue eyes staring directly into Tsunade's, and he says that they have a problem. With Tsunade then listening intently, while Naruto would explain what the Akatsuki are planning. The Akatsuki are going to be capturing every single tailed beast that they can. When they have acquired all 9-tailed beasts, they're then going to try and summon a great monster. A monster known as the 10 Tails. This beast is so powerful that not even I alone could... He would then remember that he's not Hagoromo anymore. It's so powerful that I don't even think the Sage of Six Paths could completely take care of it on his own. With Tsunade now completely interested in what Naruto has to say, she would ask what he exactly means. Naruto then go into more detail explaining about how this monster, the 10 Tails, has the capability of creating some extremely powerful jutsu by using its chakra. The 10 Tails itself is all the tailed beasts, which on their own are monstrous combined. Just imagine the pure, raw, destructive power they would have, all combined together into one monster, Naruto would say, as Naruto would be staring down, feeling his hand over his gut as he feels Kurama responding to him. Kurama, too, would be afraid of being then put together and forced to become the 10 Tails, and Hagoromo had already promised, or Naruto had promised him, that he wouldn't let that happen to him. Naruto would look up to Tsunade and say that he's already mastered the 9 Tails' power, so he can protect the 9 Tails, but even if there's a slight amount of chakra, any residual chakra from the 9 Tails even somewhere out there in the world, that might even be enough to kickstart a weaker version of the 10 Tails, which could then grow by devouring nature energy to gain even more chakra. Tsunade would then understand the threat that the Akatsuki is posing to the world from Naruto's exclamations and what he's actually telling her, and thus Tsunade would begin to send messages to the other shinobi villages to warn them to be incredibly careful and keep an eye on their tailed beasts and their Jinchurikis as well, especially now from the intel that Jiraiya and Naruto had given the Hokage Tsunade. Now she is warning the other villages, which means the Sand Village before the attack, which would happen to Gaara, would already have now been sent by the time that the attack from the Akatsuki would begin. Anyhow, Naruto would still be tested with Kakashi being reported to come in, with Naruto, Rock Lee, as well as Sakura being Tsunade's own student, being sent together to be a team to attack Kakashi and get the bells in this bell test. This would be Sakura's first bell test, and Lee and Naruto would have more experience with it, with them explaining to Sakura the basics of the test, as well as how they had passed the last time. With Naruto now getting into position, telling Kakashi that he's going to get both of the bells immediately, Kakashi would tell him that he's bluffing, with Naruto being slightly excited for this challenge, but only to be disappointed, as Naruto would go all the way out to see how far he has come against Kakashi, who, as Kakashi would find, is very far behind this point. KCM 2, he would think, as he talks to Kurama. Kurama, are you there? Yeah, Gramps, I got it. Ready, let's do this. As Naruto would then open the gate, which is usually closed, suddenly a golden light would begin to surround Naruto everywhere except for his eyes as the purple light shines through, breaking through the KCM cloak. As his cloak, which is usually now white with the sage style, would now begin to be covered with light. He now has the same appearance as well as the staff as he summons a true-seeking orb to create it that he would have had in the thumbnail that you have clicked on. With Naruto now staring Kakashi down, Kakashi would have barely any time to think, as a flash of golden light would surround Kakashi's vision before suddenly the bells had been ripped out of his hand almost instantly. Naruto would be standing now 50 meters behind Kakashi as he's holding both bells, jangling them, before deactivating his KCM mode and then destroying and unsummoning the true-seeking orb he had. He would then look towards Kakashi and ask if that sufficed for him, with Lee being in awe at Naruto's raw speed and power that he just displayed. With Sakura not even believing it, Naruto would say that was him using the Kyuubi or Kurama's chakra, as he would have used his own power combined with it. Kakashi would be absolutely surprised, as Naruto says that if he wishes, then Naruto can hold back and only use his own power, but the result will still not being the same. Kakashi would be shocked as well for seeing someone grow so fast in such a short amount of time, but you have to remember that Hagoromo was the Sage of Six Paths, and his knowledge is extreme. So Naruto, being Hagoromo, having his knowledge as well as the Kyuubi being cooperative after finding out that he's actually Hagoromo, Naruto is basically at peak right now. So, anyhow, as I was saying, Naruto wouldn't have even had to use any Sage Mode jutsu, because Hagoromo can already use Sage Mode as well, you have to remember. So, Naruto would pass the bells back to Kakashi and ask if he's excused from this exercise. Kakashi would, along with Tsunade and Jiraiya, all let Naruto go, as Naruto would join Tsunade and Jiraiya in watching the bell test. With Rock Lee and Sakura now having to work together to get the bells from Kakashi, Rock Lee would look up to Naruto and tell him that he hasn't been slacking off with his training either, with Rock Lee accessing the second gate from the 8 inner gates, as he would then tell Naruto to watch this. Using the 8 inner gates chakra boost and power, Lee would then use the dual water dragon jutsu, as he forms the same amount of hand signs for the normal water dragon jutsu, but actually has enough chakra to produce the same effect twice. By using the hand seal combo, Lee would suddenly shoot 2 water dragons spinning around each other, as the water dragons, as strong as waterfalls falling from a high cliff, then begin to crash towards Kakashi. Kakashi would have no choice but to dodge, as the 2 dragons would smash into several trees, causing a good chunk of the forest to get smashed and knocked over. With Sakura showing off her own raw strength and going for a punch towards Kakashi and slamming into a tree, the tree would then get blown out of the ground, roots and all, as Sakura would shake her hand saying that was hard. Kakashi would now be against both Lee and Sakura. Naruto would then be pleasantly surprised again, as Lee would then create the hand seal for the Shadow Clone Jutsu, creating a second Lee, who also has second gate on, as the two would then use each other to spring off each other, basically, with one Lee, the Shadow Clone, grabbing the original Lee and spinning before throwing him, giving him extra momentum. He would burn at a flashing speed towards Kakashi, like a green light. As he then throws a punch towards Kakashi, Kakashi would use one of his own lightning clones to trap and also temporarily paralyze Lee. With Kakashi now out of the way, he decided that he needs to retreat into the forest more, but before he could even do anything, Lee would have already upped his power to the third gate, now jumping and following after Kakashi, who has no time to even get out of range of Lee's fast attacks. With Lee grabbing Kakashi from behind and holding him with a full Nelson, with Sakura then coming up and grabbing the bells, Kakashi would not be able to do any hand seals due to Lee's incredible strength. Naruto would politely clap as well, as Jiraiya and Tsunade would both be impressed with this feat. that Leah's accomplished by actually capturing Kakashi, the copy ninja. With the bell test now being over, Naruto would be commended for his extreme strength and speed by Kakashi, saying that he basically just completely blitzed him. Kakashi would be rather interested if he could even see Naruto if he had pulled his Sharingan out to use it. Naruto would also be curious of this and tell Kakashi they should try it at a later date. With now everyone going home to get some rest, Naruto would go back to his home where he would lay down in his room and look up at the ceiling thinking about what he's going to have to do about Sasuke. He would sit up and then decide to go talk to Jiraiya about it, as he then walks down the Leaf Village's road and would eventually go to meet up with Jiraiya, who would be holding a popsicle, splitting it and handing one to Naruto. Naruto would smile and say he's not a kid anymore, but he'll take it anyway. Thanks. As Jiraiya and Naruto both sit down, Naruto would tell Jiraiya that Sasuke isn't here, and that Sasuke hasn't fulfilled his promise of coming back on his own in 3 years. He would look down as he's dismal about the situation, thinking that he could have trusted Sasuke to make the decision on his own. With Jiraiya telling Naruto that if Sasuke did make that promise, then he'll probably fulfill on it anyway. Naruto would nod, as he then says it would really suck if he had to go and get him himself. Naruto would lay back on the bench as he looks up at the night sky. Jiraiya and Naruto would enjoy each other's company before heading home, with Naruto falling peacefully into sleep. For the next week, everything would seem peaceful, with Naruto planning on leaving the Leaf Village again temporarily for about 2 days' travel to go and retrieve Sasuke himself, as it's over 3 years now that he had given Sasuke for time. On Sasuke's end, we can now see Sasuke's been training for over 3 years as hard as he could, just as he promised Naruto, and he'd been planning on returning soon to show Naruto that he's stronger now, but he still isn't strong enough to kill Orochimaru, and so he hopes that he gives him enough time in order to do that, with now Sasuke still trying to find a way to take Orochimaru out and fulfill his promise. Back at the Leaf Village, we see Naruto, Rock Lee, Sakura, and some of the other Konoha 11, all of which Shikamaru, Choji, and some other teams would be hanging out with Naruto now that he's back, and they would go to get food and train, as well as just hang out in general. Naruto would still feel shaken that Sasuke hasn't returned yet, and he'd be distracted pretty much the entire time. Anyhow, Naruto would be summoned to Tsunai's office, where Tsunai would then brief Naruto on the upcoming situation. How she had sent out messenger birds in order to spread the news of the Ten Tails revival that the Akatsuki are planning to the other great shinobi nations. We've just gotten word that the Akatsuki have attacked the Sand Village, and that Gar has been kidnapped, along with the One Tails. If you guys want to see the next part for What If Naruto Was the Sage of Six Paths, make sure to slap the like button, comment down below what you thought, and subscribe to the channel for more videos from me. I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.